While I'm not a massive fan of Jodie Whittaker's run, I do think it's a lot better than people give it credit for, and sometimes the criticisms go a bit too harsh. And likewise, I was fairly invested in Ncuti Gatwa's run, but it kind of lost its way roughly around the Interstellar Song Contest. A lot of people argue that Capaldi is the definitive ending for the Doctor, and initially back in 2017 I would have agreed, but in hindsight, when you actually look at his character journey of being quite self-loathing and questioning his role in the universe, I don't like the idea of him dying in a battlefield believing himself to be a massive failure. That doesn't seem like a particularly satisfying ending for the Doctor, especially since when you look at the general premise of Doctor Who, the adventures of an eccentric alien going through time and space, it doesn't really have when you look at the general character journey of the Doctor since Eccleston and how they've shifted through the stages of trauma, I think in theory the 13th and 15th Doctors do represent the next logical stages following 12's uncertainty about their identity. 13 takes on his requests to be kind to people, but obviously because a lot of that trauma that 12 went through hasn't fully processed and been dealt with, her incarnation feels a lot more superficial. Now, you can argue whether that was intentional or not, but I do think there are some instances where you feel like the kind, bubbly personality is something she is putting on, because if she actually deals with her emotions, she gets a lot more vulnerable. And you can see that pass on into the 14th Doctor when they're discussing the aftermath of Flux, because he was much more willing to open up compared to 13, which then leads into 15 being the most emotionally healthy and open Doctor, which can be annoying for some people, but for me, I really like that the Doctor is more comfortable and aware of their flaws and more willing to make a difference and change their ways. That's why I hate his scene attacking Kid in the Interstellar Song Contest, because it just completely throws that arc out the window for the sake of a brief bit of shock value. So in my opinion, I do think there is a lot more credit that should be given to those Doctors. I will concede the execution was messy, but to say that they're pointless and the show should have ended with the 12th Doctor dead in that field, I can confidently say that isn't true, and it's just more of a sign of just how miserable people are these days. I'd say go in with that mindset that they do have a place on that character journey. You might find a lot more to enjoy with those two Doctors. Ultimately, I'd say it's a case of perfectly solid ideas not necessarily having the degree of commitment and solid execution to make them feel narratively satisfying. For example, I will always say that the problem with the Timeless Children isn't the idea itself, it's the unwillingness to actually do something with it and just treating it like a brief bit of shock value. That's far more annoying than actually exploring it in a compelling manner.